Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking in detail about police interrogation techniques. Okay, so the question becomes, why should you be concerned with that? You're not planning to commit any crimes. But the thing to understand is if you are carrying a gun, um, even legally with a permit in a state or in a city that is run by Democrats, they see you as a political enemy. Okay, and if you ever use your gun in a self-defense type of situation, or even if you just, let's say you live in one of these cities run by Democrats, chances are they have laws that say that you can't brandish your gun. Well, if you bend over in the supermarket and your gun becomes exposed, um, there's a good chance that there is some Democrat in that store that is going to say that you threatened them just by the mere fact that your gun became a little exposed, okay, while it was still in the holster. Um, so for this reason, you gotta understand that they're out to get you, okay? So by you carrying a gun, asserting your rights, you're thumbing your nose at their power, okay? And they don't like that, okay? So I've said this before in many videos. If you ever get into a confrontation with police that involves a gun, okay, you need to keep your mouth shut and get yourself a lawyer. And for that reason, I recommend having a prepaid lawyer, because it's really hard and expensive to get a lawyer immediately when you need it. This is something that you gotta plan in advance. Like, for example, you plan to carry your gun, you plan to have extra magazines, you better also plan to have a lawyer and be prepared to deal with all the possible situations that might arise. Okay. Before I move any forward, let me tell you guys that the legal service that I use is U.S. Lawshield. Okay, I've mentioned them before in other videos. The reason why I use them is because they're not expensive. Okay, it's something like $40 up front. All right, and then you pay something like $10 a month. All right, and here's a promo code. Promo code is Poconoshooting. That will get you some additional discount. Just go to their website, uslawshield.com. When you're signing up, put the promo code in there. So it's something like $40 up front, and then $10 or $15 a month, or maybe $20 if you put your wife on there too. And now you have a lawyer on call that you can. First of all, if you're ever in trouble, you got him on call. Secondly, if you're traveling, you can ask them for an itinerary of how you can travel, what states you can travel to, what guns you can bring to those states. And thirdly, if you have like general gun questions, you can just call them up, have them email you the answers, and you'll have the answers in writing. Okay, so now when it comes to police interrogations, okay, it is very hard to know the difference between an interview, right, versus an interrogation, right? So they might just start asking you some questions about what happened, and if you make the mistake of getting into any details with them, okay, you're probably not going to be aware of how it transitions from an interview, or just general information gathering, to an interrogation where you are the subject of the investigation. Okay, so a good investigator, a good detective, has that ability to interrogate you without you even knowing that you are being interrogated. Okay, so that's really important for you guys to know. Okay, so let's go through the procedures here. So before actually we get into that, if you do ever get yourself into a self-defense type of situation, so the things that should be going through your mind immediately: get the gun back in the holster. You don't want people showing up on the scene, whether it be police or other civilians, seeing you with a gun in your hand while somebody's bleeding on the ground. It doesn't matter that that person may have tried to kill you. The fact is that at the moment they're laying on the ground bleeding. You better get that gun back in the holster as soon as you possibly can. So that's the first thing you gotta be concerned yourself with. Okay. Next thing is the preservation of evidence. Make sure that nobody moves the evidence, or if somebody does move the evidence, that's something that you have to let the police know. Okay, and it might be EMS when they come through the scene, because they're gonna try and because again, they don't know he's a bad guy, they don't know what he did. They're just a guy bleeding on the ground over there. As they run through, they're gonna they might move evidence, trample through evidence, and that's gonna include any weapons that he may have had. Also, your shell cases, because your shell cases on the ground are an indication of the proximity, how close you were to that person over there when the shots were fired. and the shell cases can be kicked all over the place, or the wind might blow them. So that's something you got to make police aware of right then and there. Okay, that can't wait until later. Okay, so you got to preserve the evidence. You do have to establish that you're the victim. Ideally, you'll have a chance to call 911, right? And establish that. And also, when the police arrive on the scene, you got to establish that that person tried to kill you, and you had to defend yourself. Okay, so that's something that you got to do, but you don't want to go into any details beyond that. And after that, you got to make them aware that you have a lawyer, and you got to talk to your lawyer. And here's the thing: if police are ever involved in a self-defense type of situation, their own union tells them not to talk to anybody until they talk to the union lawyers. Okay, so give yourself that same courtesy. In fact, in some states, it's actually the police are actually prohibited from making a statement until like 48 hours have passed. Okay, so there's a reason for that, because if you try to make immediate statements, you're going to make mistakes. Okay, when they come on the scene, they're going to try and ask you questions, okay? And part of the problem here is that the questions that they ask you, you're going to have lots of different cops with different personalities asking you questions coming from all different directions, right? They're not going to be going down the list of asking the questions in a chronological order. They're just going to throw questions at you, and it's going to confuse the crap out of you, and you're going to give out the wrong information unintentionally, right? Just because you're getting confused with all these different questions coming at you. So you need to avoid that altogether, okay? So what you need to do is establish that you need to talk to a lawyer. Now, if you do make the mistake of talking to them, okay, I want to let you guys know what you're in for, okay? And the purpose of going through these interrogation techniques with you is not so that you have the knowledge to beat them, because you're not going to beat them. They do this every day. They're professionals at this. You're not going to beat them at this game just because they have a lot more experience than you. Okay, so even if you do know this stuff that I'm about to tell you, don't try to think that because you know this information, you can somehow use this to your advantage. The only way to win this game is not to play it. Okay. You get the lawyer to do the talking for you, because here's the thing: if there might be enough evidence and enough witnesses where your lawyer doesn't even have to make a statement. The statements of the witnesses can stand on their own, and why should you risk making a verbal mistake? Okay, but if you do make the mistake of starting to talk to them, so let's say they take you down to the station. They're gonna basically the standard procedures for interrogation is first they're gonna try to have somebody call you and talk to you on the phone and try to get an apology out of you. Okay, so because remember, your wife or your kids might be involved, and who knows how this situation developed. You may have made some small mistake in this whole thing. So what they're gonna try to do is they're gonna try to get a family member or a friend to talk to you on the phone and basically try to get an apology out of you. And while that's happening, they're recording the apology, okay? So don't do that. Never apologize. Do not apologize to somebody on the phone about something that just happened, okay? So that's the first thing. That's the pretext phone call, right? Next thing they're going to try to do is put you in isolation. So they're going to put you in a room, whether it be a jail cell or an interrogation room, and they're going to have you sit there for a while. They might tell you that, hey, they're busy with some other case. You just got to sit there. What they're doing is they're isolating you. Okay, the purpose of isolating you is to make you feel powerless, so that and while you're sitting there in isolation, you're like, oh, you got all this stuff going through your head. You probably got a lot of questions going on, like what's going to happen next. You're probably thinking, what's next? What's going to happen? Am I in trouble? So they're going to let that build up inside your mind. So when they do finally show up, it's almost like a relief that they're showing up. Okay, so that's why they're going to isolate you first for a given period of time. So the next phase is the rapport building. Okay, so this is where they're going to talk friendly to you. They're going to tell you repeatedly that they don't think that you did something wrong, that they're there to help you. That's a lie. It is illegal for them to lie to you. I did a separate video specifically on that. It is illegal for them to lie to you. They're going to tell you that you didn't do anything wrong, that they're there to help you. The fact that they're telling you that you didn't do anything wrong, I mean, that's not something that you can bring into the courtroom and say that, hey, those cops said I didn't do anything wrong. You can't do that. That's not something that would be admissible, okay? Only the things that you say are admissible, not all the lies that they say. Really important to keep that in mind. Okay? Again, this is why we don't play this game. So as they're talking to you, they're trying to establish a personality baseline to see how you answer questions. They're going to ask you questions that are not going to be even related to what happened. They're going to ask you about your family. They're going to ask you where you live. They're going to ask you about what your last vacation was. What the purpose of this is, they want to see how you answer questions when you're obviously not lying. Okay, so that later on, if they're asking you questions and the way that you speak, the tempo that you use, the tone, the selection of words changes, that to them is an indication that you're lying. Okay, so that they're establishing a personality baseline during this friendly phase, okay, during the friendly phase, okay? And again, they're going to keep going back to you didn't do anything wrong, and they want to help you, but in order for them to help you, you need to sign this waiver, okay? So that's the next phase, getting you to sign the waiver so they can help you, okay? Big lie, they're not there to help you, okay? So that's, of course, this waiver is, of course, a waiver of your rights, and that's what's going to be the focus. And they're going to keep coming back to, you didn't do anything wrong, we're here to help you, sign the waiver so we can continue to help you. After you sign that waiver, and by the way, if you do make the mistake of signing that waiver, at any point you can retract that. You can say, hey, I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. Okay, so if you do make the mistake of starting to talk to them, stop talking to them. Okay, and they're going to say, oh, you signed the waiver, you can't stop now. Yes, you can. Stop talking to them. Okay, ask for the lawyer, demand the lawyer. Every word out of your mouth should be, I got to talk to my lawyer. Okay, that's the only thing that should be coming out of your mouth. So once they get that waiver out of you, now they're going to probably ask you some open-ended questions. Okay, tell us what happened. Okay, they're just going to see how much information you throw out there on your own, and what they're going to do is they're going to, you're going to say a whole bunch of information, which they later on are also going to use against you, right? Because they're going to be saying, well, you said this earlier, and you said that earlier, and you said it in a different order. So the information that you're using, that you throw out there during the open-ended questions phase, is going to immediately be used against you, like right then and there in that interview, like just a few minutes later, okay? So open-ended questions, then they're going to start with the accusations, okay? Now they're going to start to turn up the heat, and they're gonna focus. They're gonna tell you repeatedly that they know what happened. They know the truth. Okay, they already know all the information. They just want you to. They just want to hear it from you, so they can help you. Okay, so that's the accusations period. They're gonna tell you all sorts of stuff. That we know this happened. We know that happened. You did this. They're gonna start coming up with all these different narratives. They're gonna put a lot of pressure on you. Okay. If you try to deny, right, the next phase, denials. If you try to deny any of the accusations, they're going to cut you off because they don't want you to have any confidence, right? So every time you try to deny, they're going to immediately stop you. That's intentional. That's a psychological game. Okay, they want to prevent you from making any denials. There's only one path forward, and that's the path that they are now setting up in front of you. Okay. So no denials, that's to break your confidence. Okay. And then, if you haven't already confessed, now they're going to start hitting you with false evidence, okay? And there is no limit to the amount of lies and false evidence that they can present you. They can tell you they got 10 witnesses that said that you did this or that. They could say they got your mother or your cousin or your brother or whatever. There's no limit to the amount of false evidence that they can present you. They're going to tell you they got security cameras. They're going to tell you there was a cop on the scene that saw you. There's no limit. Okay, they're gonna stress you in a way that you've never been stressed in your life. And again, the only way to win this game is to not play. get the lawyer. Let the lawyer do the talking, because they can't do all this BS with the lawyer. They can only do it with you. Okay. So again, why put yourself in this stressful situation? Okay. So they're going to give you the false evidence, and then they're going to start to present you with themes. Okay. The themes are like, well, there's one or two things that could have happened here. You could have made a mistake, or you could have intentionally wanted to kill this person. Okay, so they're offering you two options, right? One is what appears to be like, admit that you're guilty, and it appears that there's mitigation involved here. The other thing is, if you don't admit that you get guilty to the lesser evil, then clearly the worst evil applies to you. Okay, so they're going to give you these themes. A lot of times people refer to it as the good cop, bad cop game, where they, it might be 2 people, 3 people, 10 people playing this with you. It might be a single interrogator that's just going back and forth, putting on, pushing different themes. So they're going to put forth 2 different themes. One where you just made an accident, did an accident, you really didn't intend to do this. You're still guilty, but, it's just, you didn't intend to do it, right? And the other one is where you intentionally wanted to kill that person. And the natural thing for you to do is going to want to be to confess to the lesser of the evils, the less evil theme, okay? Again, don't play this game. You're not going to win it, okay? And then finally, they're going to try and get this confession out of you. If they haven't already got it, they're going to want it in writing. They're going to want to record it. If they can get you to write an apology letter, they'll do it, right? Again, this is all admissible in court. Your apology letter is an admission that you did something wrong. Okay, so don't apologize, don't talk. Okay, that's it. There it is. Those are the established interrogation techniques that go back many decades. This is nothing new. The only good thing now that's happened is because of the internet, we've now all become aware of these interrogation techniques, and it's easy for us to research it and know what's going on. And the most important thing is for you guys to know is you cannot beat these guys, because these guys do this every day. Okay, just like I come here and I shoot guns every day, right? Somebody that shoots guns once a year can't possibly be as good as me, because they don't practice often enough. Well, same deal here with these interrogators. They do this every day, one interrogation after the other. You can't possibly be as good as them. Okay, even if you're a smart person, the fact that you just don't have the experience. And I'll tell you guys, like with me, given that like I know all this information, what the game that if I was foolish enough to talk to them, right, the game that they would probably play with me is, you're a smart guy. We can tell that you're a smart guy. You know what's going on here. So they're gonna play the fact that I know what's going on to and basically bait me into being intelligent and smart and all that, to get me to talk. And eventually I'll make a mistake, because here's the thing. It doesn't matter how many mistakes they make. They can make 1,000,000 mistakes. None of that counts against them, okay? I only need to make 1 mistake, and that's going to count against me, okay? So it's kind of like playing the interrogation game with the police is kind of like getting into a gunfight with somebody that's immortal, that has like unlimited resurrections. You don't, okay? So these guys can make an unlimited amount of mistakes, and they get to keep trying, whereas you make 1 mistake and you're done, okay? And there's no time limit to this. So once you start talking to them, they can keep you for hours, interrogate you for hours, come back the next day, ask you more questions. This only stops when your lawyer shows up. Okay, so this is the most important thing. You gotta have the prepaid legal service. Don't be looking for a lawyer after you're already in trouble. Okay, there's the promo code Poconoshooting. There's the website. Okay, and the thing to understand here is that not every police interaction is going to be a self-defense type of situation. I mean, you could be like in all of these anti-gun states, all right, where now lots of people are going to start getting carry permits. It's probably going to be concealed carry only. And if your gun becomes exposed, okay, there's going to be somebody in the store, right, wherever it becomes exposed, some anti-gunner, some Democrat, and they're going to say that just because you bent over and the gun became exposed, you threatened them, okay? So now all of a sudden, police are involved, okay? Even though that's like maybe a minor thing, do not talk, all right? Get the lawyer to do the talking for you. Don't try to talk your way out of that, because then they're gonna start tripping you up. You know, you're already on your way to losing your gun carrying rights, right? The fact that you got somebody accusing you of threatening them just by showing them the gun. Okay, if you start talking, this can get even worse. Might escalate to an assault or something. Okay, so be aware, if you're in the anti-gun states, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, California, Hawaii, and Illinois. Okay, you're going to get that carry permit, but you are a political enemy of those states. Okay, and the police work for the politicians, and the police are basically being paid to go out there and persecute you. They're not interested in the criminals. Okay, in fact, they need the criminals. The criminals, you know, they kind of work for them. You know, that's why they have all these cashless bail schemes where they want to get them back out on the street as fast as possible, so they can come and attack you. Okay, so I mean that's just the reality. There's just no explanation for this. And you gotta understand that there's no police that are going to go against their bosses. Okay, even the ones that say they're pro Second Amendment. Okay, they might be pro Second Amendment to the extent that maybe they won't persecute you, but they're not going to stop some other cop from persecuting you. Okay, so that's an important distinction, right? Even the police that say that they respect your right to carry guns and they respect your right to self-defense, okay, they may not be willing to persecute you, but they're not going to stop another cop from doing it. Okay, so they're going to be compliant in that, and complacent in that. They're just going to get out of the way. They're not going to risk their pensions. They're not going to risk their paychecks to basically protect your rights. Okay, so that's why keep your mouth shut. Get the lawyer. Understand that if you get into a self-defense type of situation, or even if it's just like a minor thing where somebody's accusing you of brandishing, or if your gun becomes exposed or something, understand you're dealing with three threats. Okay, the first threat is the immediate threat in front of you. Okay, the second threat is going to be the media. Okay, and the third threat is going to be the legal system. Okay, and you have to be prepared to deal with all three of these threats. Okay, you can't just be, I got the gun on and I'm prepared to deal with threat number one. That's not enough, because threat number two and threat number three is going to get you. You got to be prepared to deal with all three threats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to U.S. Lawshield's website below in the comments, and also the promo code. Listen, there's other ones out there. I'm not saying get this one because I get some type of benefit or something. I'm just a member. I'm saying look around. There's other ones out there. Find one that fits you. Reason why I use these guys is because they're cheap and they're everywhere. They're in like 47 states. They're gonna get to all 50 states. They're all working. Some of the states are trying to keep them out because they don't want you to have a prepaid legal defense. Okay? So definitely recommend that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, go below to the comments so you can find the links. I'll talk to you all soon.